Alrighty, today's guest is a founder whose love for animals has led to the creation of a whimsical brand called Cat in the Box. It caters for cats' biological need to have access to boxes. She's created award-winning, unique, eco-friendly playhouses for guardians to place in their homes for their cats. Welcome to the e-commerce show, Dawn LaFontaine.
So nice to meet you, Rohit, and thank you so much for having me here today.
No, I really appreciate it. I'm super interested in this. But I guess to get going, maybe we can educate the listeners. Firstly, what is Cat in the Box, and what inspired you to start this unique business?
Well, Cat in the Box makes whimsical cardboard box playhouses for cats who think inside the box. If you've spent even 7.5 seconds with a cat, you probably already know that cats are crazy for cardboard boxes. There's actually some pretty serious science that explains why cats are bizarrely attracted to boxes. But I've been a lifelong animal lover myself, and I've always made things for my pets when I couldn't find what I was looking for in the store. So I'm always thinking about what animals might need and how to make things better. And I actually got the idea for this business when I was visiting my mother's cat sitter with her. The woman had a beautifully appointed home, and her living room was filled with cardboard boxes. Um, she saw me looking around at the boxes, and she said quite sheepishly, "They're for the cats." So
Yeah,
I already knew that cats love cardboard boxes, but it got me thinking, why do people put up with, dirty, ugly Amazon shipping boxes in their homes?
that's awesome. Yeah, and so from that moment, did you have an idea of what Cat in the Box looked like, or did you know that from that moment? I think I'm going to start something to address this particular need.
Well, I was actually at a crossroads in my own life deciding what I was going to do next. Both of my kids had gone off to college. Actually, the reason we were visiting the cat sitter is it was my daughter's graduation cruise that we that we were taking. Was That's what she asked for instead of a party, and so I was quite literally at that crossroads right in my life, trying to figure out what to do. And one of the thoughts I'd always had in the back of my mind was to start a business. And I'm just the kind of person who is always thinking about a better way of doing something, always,
Mm.
everything, whether I'm in the kitchen, whether I'm taking a shower, it's always coming to me. And but animals have always been my thing. My pets have always meant a lot to me. So when I had this particular light bulb moment, I thought that's what I want to do next.
I love that. And so, what is your background? Is it focused traditionally? Have you done e-commerce stuff in the past? Like, is this your first business? Like, give us a bit more of an
Well,
insight around that.
yes. Well, I was a stay-at-home mother for maybe 23 years or so. So no. And my background before that was in finance and business writing. So no, I had no skills whatsoever. In fact, if I had known what I didn't know, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Right. I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot. But it just pays off to just get started.
Ignorance
Um,
is a good thing sometimes.
I love it. I'm interested though. You touched on the cat's needs for boxes, and you mentioned there's some science behind that. I'd like to flesh that out a little bit more.
Oh, sure. Well, actually, it's not just one scientist who was, interested in this question. It's quite a few scientists all over the world because it is such a universal phenomenon. Cats really, if you put a box that earrings came in on the ground, they'll go in. If you put a box that a refrigerator came in, they'll go in. They're just particularly curious and obsessed with cardboard boxes. So science so far has come up with, three possible explanations, and probably they're all true. The first one, and probably the most important one, is that cats have a higher thermoneutral zone than humans have. And the thermoneutral zone is the temperature at which a living thing does, not have to expend any additional energy to stay warm or to keep
Mm,
cool. So the kind of the temperature they're comfortable with. And we humans kind of keep our houses at around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And cats actually probably would prefer something, 86 to 97 degrees Fahrenheit. So about 20 degrees higher than what we like is what they like.
mm,
And the great thing about cardboard, and you'll actually find other products now. At the time, there wasn't any that, when I started this business, there weren't any other similar products. But a lot of products that are made now are made with paperboard, which looks like cardboard. It's the kind of thing that game boards are made of in cereal boxes. But the kind of boxes that cats really like are corrugated boxes, and it's a little harder material to work with than paperboard. But corrugated cardboard have corrugations, and corrugations are very insulating. And so uh, they help keep a cat warm, and curling up inside a small box helps keep a cat warm. So, contrary to what some people believe, a nice tight box is actually what cats like. They like something that is very snug. The
Mm.
second scientific reason that cats love cardboard boxes has to do with soothing their anxiety. A Dutch uh, behavioral scientist studied cats newly arrived to cat shelters, and what she found was that cats who were given access to a cardboard box got used to their new digs more quickly, were more interested in interacting with people than cats without access to a cardboard box. And her conclusion was that uh, having a safe place to hide helps cats self-soothe. And the third reason probably has to do with cats' sort of natural instincts. I mean, our cats get all
Mm.
their food from a can, but they have a natural instinct to hunt. And they're ambush hunters, by the way. There's more than one kind of hunter if you're a predator, but ambush hunting means simply hiding and then jumping out and pouncing on something. And so cardboard boxes are a great place for cats to hide and get to experience and exhibit some of their natural hunting behaviors.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting. Um, that's so fascinating. I have a cat as well, and you can definitely see that instinctual, like hiding behind things and jumping out if there's, you're playing and stuff like that.
Your
Yeah, so
ankles, yeah,
definitely,
sure.
yeah, and the ankles. Yep, don't forget about that. That's so interesting. I'm curious though, like if we go back to kind of you've wandered into the cat sitter's house. It's a beautiful place. There's heaps of cardboard boxes everywhere, and then you think, oh, okay, maybe I should try and solve this and potentially make more nicer looking uh, boxes for these cats. But how do you validate whether that's a product that people want, right? Because that might be just a need
Right.
that you're solving.
Right, and had I known what I was doing, I would have validated the product first. But I didn't, I leapt right on in. I know now the right way to do things, but I said, "Oh, I'll make him," it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, Field of Dreams, "If you build it, they will come," and that was kind
Mm.
of what I thought, like, you make something really cool and people will just go out and buy it, and, by the way, that's not how that works, but had I known the right way to do a thing like this, I would have tried to validate it first. I haven't, given any thought to what I would do, but instead I leapt in and made huge capital purchases and bought inventory and yeah, went about it the wrong way.
Yeah, right. Oh, so you took a massive risk. Like you just bought, everything from scratch and had this basically all this inventory that you needed to get rid of.
Right. I did get rid of it. I mean, I have basically sold everything I've ever made, so that's that kind of panned out. Uh, but yeah, at the time I didn't know that that wasn't the way to do things.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm curious though. Like you were saying that it's corrugated cardboard that cats really love. How did you go about sourcing the materials for the creation of the product?
Well, I actually just started cold calling box manufacturers, and it's a little bit of a Goldilocks thing, as I soon learned. There are bigger companies that have corrugated cardboard is a really difficult material to work with. It's just not a forgiving material, and it doesn't bend, it doesn't fold in clever ways the way paperboard does, which is why you'll see so many paperboard products on the market now. Um, so the companies that have the ability to make complex designs were not interested in somebody who wanted to order 500 of something,
Mm,
and the companies that would be thrilled with an order of 500 of something just didn't have the capabilities to manipulate the material the way I needed them to. So it was a lot of just, could you do it, could calling, and a lot it's like cold calling for anything else. People don't call
mm.
you back, and but I eventually found a local manufacturer that was willing to give it a try.
Yeah, interesting. Out of interest, do you know how many cold calls you made? Like, what was that process like?
I'm a very persistent person, so I don't really, I don't, that's not the kind of thing that gets in my way, nor the kind of thing that I dwell on. And I'm sure I made many dozens of calls. Actually, I ended up changing manufacturers about 2 or 3 years ago. Um, I had some issues with my current manufacturer. They just weren't. They make boxes, and boxes don't have to be perfect, but my products had to be perfect, and I couldn't. They were making, if they made 500, there would be 150 that were not up to my standards, and they felt that was good enough. So anyway, I
Mm.
did have to go through the whole same process all over again. I called companies all over the country. I'm sure I called hundreds of companies, or emailed hundreds of companies until I found my current manufacturer. So it actually is, was probably a little bit harder than I remember it being initially.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Like, I feel like persistence is one of those things that as an entrepreneur you need to have, because you will face a lot of pushback and a lot of no. So it's important
Right.
to kind of just keep going. Um, I'm curious though, like with the manufacturing of these boxes, are there any considerations for the actual, cat's health that goes into this?
Right. So absolutely. And I think I'm quite literally the only company that now makes cardboard boxes that does it this way. But cats are obsessed with not just being inside a cardboard box, but with chewing on cardboard.
Mm.
And I mean, I actually have a cute little TikTok video that somebody made of her cat like eating cardboard. My cardboard, my actually this this is one of my products here. It's a milk
Ah,
it's a
it's a
milk
milk carton.
and it's an adorable video if you go into my TikTok. And I mean, I don't, my recommendation is if you've got a cat that actually consumes cardboard, they probably shouldn't have cardboard. But if your cat's a licker or just a biter of cardboard, you want to make sure anything that they're putting in their mouth is safe for them. And the inks on my cardboard boxes are are designed for contact with human food. So they're soy and water based inks, and you can feel safe that your cat is licking and chewing my boxes.
Mm. No, that's it. I feel like that's such an important consideration, because you don't want, people's cats chewing up the boxes and then getting sick, and then that causes all sorts of dramas. But
Right.
that's fascinating. I'm curious, like, did you make any wrong assumptions before starting the business that, ended up costing you?
Yes, I made a lot of wrong assumptions. I'm not, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But one of the first wrong assumptions I made had to do with shipping. I made the wrong assumption twice, actually. Um, my first thought was that people would want to put these things away, and so I would sell them flat, and they could just assemble them and then disassemble them, and who. As it turns out, actually, people don't want to put them away. They're really cute, and they want to keep them out in their living room, and they take
Right.
photos of them all the time. So that was my first. I'm kind of a neatnik, and I would want to put them away, but I'm the only one. So I initially designed them so that they could be disassembled and reassembled, and nobody ever used that feature, so I changed it. But the the first wrong assumption had to do with the fact that I would ship them flat. You cannot ship these things flat; they're massive, and
Mm.
it goes into this balloon pricing. It's a for shipping through USPS. That's insane. So my second thought was, oh, I'll ship them assembled, which is actually with my two initial designs. It's how I still ship them. And shipping them assembled was great for about a year. They had the postal service had a bulk shipping kind of rate that worked really great with my products. But about a
Mm.
year into it, they changed the rate, and the price went up some multiple. So my second, third, fourth products were all had to be redesigned so that they could be very, very compact and ship more efficiently.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. So there's definitely kind of a lot of pivoting that has to go on.
I would assume that's true of every entrepreneurial endeavor. That when people talk about, I'm so successful now, what they fail to just describe is all the pivoting that was done prior to their success. I find it hard to imagine that anybody ever went from initial idea to overwhelming success with no hiccups in between.
Yeah, yeah, no, great, great, great point. I'm interested though, like let's say we've gone through the journey, you've figured out what you want to build, you've started the manufacturing process. How did you get your first customers that weren't family or friends?
Well, actually, I got on. Are you familiar with Product Hunt?
Yeah, I am actually.
So, like within 5 days of turning my website on, I got on Product Hunt, and that was how I got some of my first customers.
Did you have any launch? Did you just launch, or did you have some sort of checklist to do before you launched?
Yeah, right. Yeah. If had I had the playbook back then, I would have done it. Would have done it that way. No, I just actually contacted somebody on Product Hunt, someone who I'd known had covered some other pet products in the past. That was all I did.
Wow, yeah, that's fascinating. Product Hunt, I've always thought is, for those developer like software engineering projects, it's all like tech based,
Yeah, that and
and
cats.
then
Two
yeah,
things.
yeah, it
You're
seems like the
doing
people at Product Hunt love
cat.
cats. It seems.
Yes.
I love that. So yeah, you launch on Product Hunt and you get your first customers. How did you I guess suppose begin to grow that particular user base?
Well, I actually use social media to be honest. I had no, and really still have a minimal marketing budget. I had no marketing budget, and social media is a free opportunity to reach a lot of people. And I started out on Instagram. I actually have over 10,000 followers now, and um, just a great it's a perfect platform for a very visual product like mine because people like
Mm,
to take pictures of their cats. They're really fun props for people to use with their cats, and because cats are so naturally attracted to them, you're always getting great photos. They're sending them to me, they're posting them on Instagram themselves. It actually makes my job really really easy. I don't have to
yeah.
really create content for social media, and it's also you know, it shows that it's a positive user experience. People are showing that they're happy with the product. I'm not telling them that people, cats like this product. They don't have to hear it from me. They can hear it from the cats,
Mm,
and they can hear it from the other cat guardians.
yeah. Yeah. No. So true. So I'm curious. You mentioned that the shipping issues, um, the rate changes, all that sort of stuff. But were there any other challenges that you faced in these really early days of getting the product to people, or marketing? What did that look like?
I mean, yeah, I faced, and I still do, because I don't know all of these things yet, and I think it's impossible to know it all, and yet I'm still just a solopreneur. And I mean, I really didn't even, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about shopping cart hosted shopping carts. I did not know anything about HTML. I didn't know anything about how to make the little postage sticker thing print the postage stickers. And I didn't know even how to calculate it. So I mean, thank goodness for Google, but everything, like when I got my first order, I panicked because I hadn't even put one in a shipping box yet. I didn't really even know
Mm.
if it would fit. I didn't know. I just didn't know how do you get it out the door. I was using the wrong kind of tape to start with. I mean, everything's really a lot of trial and error when you don't either A, have a mentor, or B, have done it before.
Yeah, wow. I feel like there's so many different considerations that you need to have, and if you don't know it, then it's you learn on the job, or you got to find someone else who's done it before. But with this particular product, it seems so niche that maybe there's not that many people who have done it before, so it's on you to learn.
Right,
Um,
and I actually, for this particular thing, I think I was I don't think that there were any other products like this on the market when I started. None. So, maybe I gave somebody some ideas. I don't know.
Yeah. You touched on this actually. You mentioned this in an article, and you touched on it recently, just then previously, that building a good product isn't enough for people to find you. So I'm curious, right? You mentioned the social media, and posting other people's content that they've sent you back of the products that you've sent them. But I'm curious, like, what other strategies did you use to find customers in these early days?
Well, one of the major sources of customers for me are actually not my customers. I actually do a lot of wholesale business. In fact, I got a big shipment sitting out in my living room right now that's going to London, to a little pet store in London. Reaching out to boutique pet stores has been a great source for me. They already have customers. I
Mm,
don't have to go find customers because those customers are walking in their front door. So, I mean, learning wholesale is a whole different set of challenges, but it is another great way of finding people, and then they find me again. They may buy it from a pet store in London, but they'll find me on social media and send me photos. So
mm. I'm curious, like, how does those conversations go with wholesalers? Like, for me, I've never stepped foot in, physical product selling. So I'm curious, like, how do you approach these wholesalers, and what's the conversations like to get your product in their stores?
well, there are two ways of going about it. So one is seriously just cold calling, and I have done it both ways. I have, well, literally called people on the phone myself, walked in the stores. I actually did a little postcard thing. I just sent out photos with a QR code of my products to various. I actually had a beach cottage. I'm all sold out at the moment, but I sent them to little pet stores and little gift shops all over coastal towns all over the U.S. So one way is just literally, pounding the pavement, literally and
Mm,
figuratively pounding the pavement, and the other way is through wholesale platforms like Fair. And again, I'm selling to customers that already exist. In this case, they're already on the platform looking for folks like me, looking for products like mine. And that's super easy. I have to say that is the easiest way
Right.
to find customers. But you don't find them all that way. So you got to do both.
Yeah, you have to have like this omni-channel approach, right? Different channels to bring
Right.
traffic back to your stores. With the wholesalers, is there some sort of minimum sales that you've had to make on your own before they say, okay, this product's good enough to come into our stores? Or do you just approach them and then just say, hey, this is a cool product that I'm building, I think it'll fit really well in your stores? Like what if I were to kind of want to place a product in a wholesaler, um,
Mm.
what conversations would I have, how would I pitch it?
Right. So if I'm physically going into a store, I usually bring a sales sheet that I've created. So it's like a almost like a one-page brochure that has all the statistics about the product on it, the MSRP, what I'm selling it for, how to find it. Um, I usually have some quotes from customers who, five-star review kind of quotes, and I bring that in. I actually will bring the physical product into the store. I will just here, are you interested? And that has actually worked, believe it or not.
Wow.
I mean, it's not, it's one of those things, got to throw a lot of darts at the dartboard kind of
Yeah.
thing. But that actually works. And with the wholesale platforms like Fair, they do all the vetting for their retail customers. So those retail customers already feel confident that they're buying from somebody who's been vetted. And also they have the platform itself, if they're not happy, they can return the item. Luckily that hasn't happened for me, but they could.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm curious, like you started a blog, I saw, to become a cat expert. Was what other content ideas do you have to drive traffic to the store? You've got the social media, you've got the blog. You tell us a bit more about the blog, what it's all about, and what else that you do.
It was one of those things. I actually have mentors now, so this is something I highly recommend you start with. Don't pick up in the middle. But one of my mentors was telling me, he said, you've got to, if you want organic traffic, you have to reach out to customers. And I actually thought of it sort of as I thought of it in two ways. One was, what a great marketing tool, but more importantly, being in and around and having contact with a lot of cat guardians, I realize that there's a lot of misinformation about
Mm.
cats out there. Cats are kind of inscrutable. Dogs, we kind of can read and we know what they're thinking. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, and when they're happy, they look happy. When they're you know dangerous, they look dangerous. Cats are hard to read, and people make a lot of wrong assumptions about their behaviors and what they really mean. And so I thought of it also not as a way just of reaching out to people who might not know me, but as a way of providing a service to customers who really genuinely want to understand their cats, and also to put an end to some of the misinformation that's out there about cats. And I started I wrote a blog post that probably didn't put a third of the amount of effort that I put into them now from my very, very first one. And I
Mm.
just threw it out there just to see. And of course, you don't get any traffic from that for a while. But all of a sudden I started to notice that people were looking for answers to that question and coming to my site. And it was an absolute, revelation. And that people will, if you have good information, Google will help them find you.
Mm.
And it's just so I write a blog post, a very in-depth, well-researched blog post every single week,
Wow.
and about topics of interest to cat guardians. And so some of those things might be health topics. I just wrote a blog post about feline infectious peritonitis, which is a very misunderstood disease in cats. And I also wrote one. What was my? If you'll just excuse me here, I'm just going to look up my last one here that I just wrote.
No, that's all
Um,
good.
I wrote one. Well, here I wrote one. Should I get an Apple AirTag for my cat? I wrote, why do cats get the hiccups? Why do cats open their mouths when they smell? Those kind of topics. And I build traffic really, really quickly to some of these topics, and I'm so delighted that people are finding me and that they're learning what their cats really mean by the behaviors that they display.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I'm curious. Now you've said these blog posts, should I put an air tag on my cat? What's the answer to that?
I invite you to go and read my blog post. The short answer is if you want to find your cat in your house, which believe me, that can be a problem for some people, and if you have an iPhone 11 or greater, I'd say an AirTag is great. If you live in a city and you're afraid of your cat getting out the front door and there are lots of people, with iPhones nearby, an Apple AirTag can really, really help you find your cat. If you live somewhere that backs up to the woods where there are no people with other iPhones, the AirTag's not going to help you find your cat.
No luck. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Well, I live in the city, so maybe AirTag is the way to go.
It's a
So
$29 investment, and I recommend it in that case. Yeah.
beautiful. Look, you mentioned you're a solopreneur, and being a bootstrap founder means that you've got no help to do lots of jobs. I'm curious, from your perspective, what are some parts about running businesses that you love?
I mean, my favorite thing about running my business, my absolute favorite thing, and the thing that I just didn't know was going to happen, is that I get to talk to people who are like minded all day long. I mean, people email me about cat questions all the time. I talk to cat people through Instagram, through DMs. I talk to customers about their cats. I am a lifelong animal lover. I love talking about cats. So this has been one of the great unexpected joys of my business.
That's awesome. And then in terms of, things that you don't like, if I'm a solopreneur, there's copy, there's marketing, there's sales, there's the cold calling. Like what parts about it, do you find most challenging?
Right. So the thing I find most challenging is being pulled in a million different directions every minute. Like, last night I was actually packing the order for London, but I feel like, I mean, you got to pack those orders because the people have already paid for them. So that's got to be your first priority. But after that, what do you
Mm,
do next? I mean, there's so many things demanding your attention. And the other side of that is that you can't be good at all of them. I mean, nobody's good at all of them. And so you're kind of mediocre at a lot of things or worse. So like I'm I don't know anything about marketing. I really don't. And I mean, consequently, I've, wasted um, some good money, on Facebook marketing or Google marketing. I don't know what I'm doing. But it costs a lot of money to pay people who are good at what they're doing, at
mm.
those kind of things. So, it's a really, really hard thing. You can't be good at everything.
Is that something you've outsourced, or is everything that you do it yourself?
Everything I've done so far, I do it myself. In the future, I can imagine a time where, I mean, I don't do my own plumbing, right? I don't, I'm not rewiring my house. I hire experts for things that I can't do well. So in the future, I can imagine hiring people to do what I don't do well.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like it's a very good encouragement for people, that you don't have to be good at everything, that it's okay to be
Right.
mediocre at some things and just figure it out. Like you can
Right.
do it.
And lean into the things that you are good at. Like the writing comes, I have a his background in writing. It comes really, really easily to me, and I enjoy it so much. I love digging into these topics. I love writing about them. So I'm never going to outsource that ever. I mean,
Mm,
I think I'm good at the product design. I think like my animals. I mean, I know what cats like. I've lived with so many. I know. I already. I mean, I have, if money weren't a barrier, I have 4 million ideas in my head right now. I know what cats like, so I'm never going to outsource the design to anybody else either.
I love that. I'm curious though, what went wrong with the Facebook and Google ads, and what would you encourage people not to do based on your mistakes, maybe?
Well, Facebook is difficult, and I broke even on those. I'm not going to say that I didn't, that it was a disaster or anything. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I think that the bottom line is you need to use somebody who knows what they're doing to
Mm,
help you at least do it. So I didn't, yeah, it wasn't a loss. It just wasn't a good use of my time ultimately.
right.
And I tried a few different ads, still, like a still photo. I tried some video. Video definitely seemed to be much more effective. And the Google ads, they've got the new system now that makes you don't have to even think, I think, to use them. So I need to try that again. But I don't have advice because I didn't learn anything from it.
No, no, all good. And in these early days when you were still small, What was the tech stack that you used at the time? Like, what was the website builder that you used, and kind of what do you recommend for people early on in their journey to start off with?
I was Shopify and I still use Shopify. And that's a great out of the box solution because you don't have to know a whole lot to be able to use a Shopify theme. In fact, I knew nothing and I was able to come up with a pretty nice website pretty easily.
Mm,
Um, and it has a lot of functionality. I would say the downside for me of Shopify is that it's a nickel and diming to death situation. So I don't want to stack on too many apps because I don't want to slow down my site, and I also don't want to increase my monthly my monthly burden of app fees. But there are a few things I wish sort of came in the box with Shopify, but other than that, I've got no complaints, and I will continue to use it.
nice. I think we touched on it a bit earlier, but and you mentioned it, but I'm curious to know, like, what was the journey like scaling up? So you've got your initial customers. We talked a bit more about the marketing and the content and the blogs and that sort of thing, but from going from maybe 100 customers to where you are now, what was that journey like? And was it kind of a linear path, or was it a little bit more stagnant at some points and then spiky at other points?
I'm not sure I'm there yet, Rohit. I mean, I'm still, you know, going up the hill. I mean, I think that's what it is, and it's been a linear journey, is how I would describe it now. Still, and I mean, every customer is hard won. Every customer is appreciated. I, you know, I mean, I'm looking forward to the day when it takes off exponentially.
Mm. No, fair enough. And when did you decide? You said you had a million ideas of different products, but I see on the site that you've got a bunch of other cat toys and stockings. How did you decide to expand your product lines, and when did you know it was the right time to do so?
I don't think I do know what the right time is. I kind of just get enchanted by certain ideas and I want to try something. And I'm actually working right now on a couple different products. One, I'm having samples sent to me from Nepal. So I'm super excited about that. I'm actually working with some women who are doing prototypes for me of a particular textile product they're in Minnesota. Actually, they're wonderful sewers. They make one of them makes costumes for the opera, so I have something very very particular. I actually dreamed about it. I dreamed about cats using these products, and I woke up and I said I got to make that. So I mean I'm not sure that that's um, you know maybe that's not the way to go about it. Just something that enchants you. But I know what if I can get these things made, I know what cats will like.
Yeah, yeah. You literally had a vision, and you made it happen, which is cool. I'm
Right. And
curious though. Oh
yeah.
no, sorry. Go on.
I was just going to say that there's so many things. They're just I mean, I have dogs too, and you walk into a pet store, there's so many things for dogs, but the cat aisles are not filled. They're just not.
Hmm.
And there's just so many. I think because people don't understand cats, they don't realize how many things there are that they could really enjoy or benefit from.
One thing I'm noticing from you is that the decisions that you make are not often backed by anything except your intuition. But
Not
the
necessarily a good thing.
no, well, what I think I was going to say as well, it seems that it seems to pay off because you have such a deep understanding of the problem space. And so I feel like that might be a lesson to all the entrepreneurs out there, when it comes to making decisions about pricing or product lines. The most important thing, from your story at least, it seems to be knowing deeply what cats want and what the guardians of the cats want, and making that happen for them.
Well, it's awfully nice of you to say that, Rohit. It's nice to hear it too. Thank you.
I'm curious, like with the pricing, you like maybe this is another intuition question, but how did you decide to, on the price of the products that you sell?
Well, wholesale is a very particular thing. So right now, when I think about pricing, I first think about wholesale. To be honest,
Mm,
so you've got to. I mean, I kind of think of it as in quarters. It costs one quarter to make it. You got to take the next quarter, and if it's wholesale, they got to take the next 50%. So that's kind of
mm,
how I think about it with wholesale pricing, and then I back a retail price out of that. So that's how I think about it now. But at the time,
yeah.
I just thought, what are these? what people pay for these things. I don't know.
Have you done any pricing experiments, or have you kept it the same, pretty much from the
I mean,
beginning?
I had to change my pricing when the cost of shipping went up, because when the cost of the shipping is more than the cost to make the product, I have to
Wow.
that's a huge thing. My products ship um, to my retail customers with free shipping. If they knew what it really cost to ship, they'd be horrified. So
Yeah.
so that's that's where we are with that.
Yeah. No, no, definitely. Do you find that customers these days, um, will only buy if there is free shipping? I feel like that's now more of an entitlement, rather than a kind
It
of bonus or
is,
perk.
and I do sell a couple items on Amazon. Yes, thank you, Amazon, for for making people they think that shipping doesn't cost anything, because it costs a lot. And I mean, of course, it's built into every product, isn't it? Everything's built in already. Whether you pay for shipping, whether you pay for it or
Mm,
you don't. But the idea that you know what the price is ahead of time, and that you don't have to see the shipping, is something that people expect.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Dawn, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced, from creation to now, that with Cat in the Box?
Self doubt. That's the
Mm.
number one. Um, and I'm a pretty confident person, and I'm very, very persistent, and I don't give up. But this kind of thing can do a little to your ego. That's all I gotta say. Especially when, um, I mean, there's sometimes some people that surround you in your life that don't think this is what you should be doing, and so you know, um, they, I mean, I think self doubt's a real thing with entrepreneurs.
Do you have any strategies that you've used to overcome that self doubt?
Well, I know myself pretty well, and I remind myself of what I know, and that's all. And I know there isn't anything that I haven't done in my life that I haven't figured out eventually. And I figure if other people have figured this out, well, then I can too.
Hmm. That's very wise. I love that. Definitely something to take in and kind of ponder. I'm curious, Dawn, what, does the future look like for Cat in the Box? And maybe even just a comment in e-commerce in general.
Well, I think COVID showed us that people like to buy things online. So
Mm,
I think e-commerce is only it's the future, really. And what I do think also might be the future is an interest in small companies like mine. The idea of supporting an actual family when you're buying something, the idea
mm,
of buying directly from somebody, cutting out all the expense of the middleman too. Um, you know, um, so I think that may be where this is going. I think people, when they see somebody on Instagram, they want to buy from them. They don't necessarily have to buy from Walmart or something like that.
yeah.
And you had another. Oh, and the future of my business is cat things, cat things, cat things. There are so many things out there that cats could really use, that they would really enjoy. That would make a life of living indoors um, more interesting for them, more stimulating. Things that would meet their biological needs. I have just so many ideas, and I so I hope to just keep developing new ones.
Great. That's cool. And with Cat in the Box, did you ever imagine it to be kind of where it is today?
I did, actually. I mean, who doesn't, right? Why would you start
Mm.
this if you weren't imagining that? Yes, yes, of course. What I didn't imagine was all the steps in between. But I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have started it otherwise.
That's awesome. Dawn, this has been such an insightful chat. I really do appreciate you jumping on. Where can people find you, and where can people find Cat in the Box?
So, Cat in the Box, the website is thecatisinthebox.com. You can certainly find me on Instagram at the cat is in the box with periods between each of the words. You can find me on TikTok, and you can find me on Facebook too. I'm not that hard to find.
I love that. We'll link all the socials in our description so people can find you. But Dawn, thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate it.
I love chatting with you today, Rohit. Thank you so much.